Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the birth of Merlin, and today we get to do a little bit of a rewind because I wrote things down incorrectly in my notes. If you remember at the end of yesterday's video, I said, oh, it's sort of a pity that there aren't more monologues in Act 1, Scene 2 because it's kind of a long scene and they give you a lot of information, but there we go. Well, I had written things down incorrectly, and today's monologue and tomorrow's monologue actually both come from Act 1, Scene 2. I put them in my notes incorrectly. So I apologize for that, but we are going to get to cover the material. So huzzah! Today we're going to hear from Aurelius again in Act 1, Scene 2. And we've already done a recap of the entire scene, so none of this should be a surprise, but you will get to hear a little bit more of the actual language. So that part is fun. So what has been happening in this scene, we are at court with Aurelius, who is the king of the Britons, and he's worried about his brother, Arthur, who's been missing for a little while, and he's also anticipating the arrival of this hermit who's supposed to be coming in. The hermit had sent a note that was a little bit like, maybe be careful who you befriend. And he's like, that's weird, and that's a weird note to send. But then the Saxon delegation comes in because there's been this war going on, and some Saxons were sort of taken prisoner. The Britons seem to be winning. So these are maybe going to be like the peace talks, or this is what we'll give you if we stop the war, and this is what you have to do to stop the war sort of thing. But the Saxon contingent is led by a woman named Artesia, who as soon as he sees her, Aurelius falls in love with Artesia, and he finds it difficult to speak because she's so beautiful. And there is a little bit of like, I'm too old for her, and Donaber makes some comment of, if I wasn't so old, then yeah, I would see what you see in her, that kind of thing. But Aurelius is so taken by her that he can barely say anything. And as they start talking about sort of what the terms of this truce should be, that the Saxons have to break up their camp and they have to get all of their soldiers out of Britain's territory and all that, the other lords are sort of taken aback by how kind the king is being. Donabert was like, okay, lady, you have your message. You can just take it back to your king now. And Aurelius is like, no, let them stay. Let them have dinner. I wouldn't want to be a mean host, all that sort of thing. And Donabert is not really having it. And Artesia is like, we're happy to be here, and we're interested in building this truce, and blah, blah, blah. And she's doing a little bit of a flirty thing with Aurelius because, maybe good to flirt with the enemy's king. And Donabert turns to her at one point. He's like, lady, this flirtation is gross. This is like, the compliments that you're paying him are pathetic and childish. We can 100% see through what you're doing. And Aurelius turns to Donabert and says, shame take thy tongue. Being old and weak thyself, thou dotest, and looking on thine own defects, speak'st what thou wish in me. Do I command the deeds of others? Mine own act not free? Be pleased to smile or frown. We respect neither. My will and rule shall stand and fall together. Most fair Artesia, see the king descends to give thee welcome with these warlike Saxons. And now on equal terms both sues and grants. Instead of truce, let a perpetual league seal our united bloods in holy marriage. Send the East Angel's king this happy news that thou with me hast made a league forever, and added to his state a friend and brother. Speak, dearest love, dare you confirm this title? So the first half of this is directed at Donabert, where he's like, shut your face, because I want to hear nothing about what you have to say. You're projecting onto me your own insecurities and your own stuff, and I'm the king. I get to tell everybody else what to do. Do I not get to make my own decisions about what it is that I'm going to do? He's like it or not, this is what I'm doing. And then he turns his attention back to Artesia, and he descends from the throne and proposes marriage to her and says, this will bring peace to both of our warring factions forever if we get married. What do you say? And she says, well, I'm not really one to turn down a marriage proposal from a king, so I guess, yeah, let's do it. And all of the lords are still very taken aback, and they're not having it. They're like, what is he doing? This is the dumbest idea. And then the hermit comes in, and the king is like, check it out. I'm going to marry my enemy's daughter, wife, sister person, and bond our two kingdoms together. And the hermit's like, you're embracing your own ruin by doing this, is what you're doing. This is not a good idea. And Aurelius, so love-struck, I guess, is not having any of that and decides that he's not even going to listen to the hermit. He's like, I'm done. This is happening. We're getting married. None of y'all get to say anything else. Let's get out of here. And they all leave the stage except for the hermit, and Modesta enters, and we're going to get to hear a monologue from her tomorrow before we're officially done with Act 1, Scene 2. I promise. Things will be smoother. I'm out of the habit. So anyway, come on back tomorrow and we'll get to hear from Modesta. I will see you then. Mwah.